welcome everybody to the Divine Voice. So
Mm.
excited to have you here tonight. It was August 2nd, and on August 1st, I had put a simple announcement up on Facebook saying that we had potentially sell our house, even though it wasn't ready to be sold. We had one room that was gutted down to the studs. And I was driving home from a meeting with another author. No radio on, just the silence, just me and the good old Nebraska rural highway. And I heard a voice like I've never heard before. When the Lord has come to me before, it was usually more of a fatherly voice, happy birthday kind of sounding voice. This was a command. And the command went like this house is no longer yours. I need this home for someone else. And I got home and I looked when I walked in the door and I spied my grandma's china cabinet. And I knew not to follow a voice like this. Like I just had to, because I know what happens if I don't. And so I went and I started packing up my grandma's china cabinet. The thing that would have been hardest for me to pack up, the hardest thing for me to let go of. But I knew he was asking me to do this. And then I remembered, oh, I had a ding on my phone as I was driving home. So I checked the messages, and sure enough, it was the person who would eventually, 2 months later, sign on the dotted line. And the person who now could raise her family next door to her parents and have that family support and have the abundance she wanted in life. Following that voice, that's easy. Like it's not easy to do, but it's easy to know, like, oh, that was God. Like that was the divine voice. But many days I get on my boat of life and I take away the captain's wheel. So I'm gonna play a song for you called The River, for you to think about those days of distinguishing God's voice from your own voice when maybe it's not as clear as that booming voice that sometimes we see portrayed in the Bible stories. Last week, I had this moment where I forgot to listen for God and I forgot to ask God for direction. And how do I know that? Because what was happening in my life is not what God would want for me. I I had been doing some really nice routines of going to bed at 9:30 at night, getting up at 5:30, having my power hour in the morning, those types of things. Not last week. And it wasn't getting ready for this women's summit I was going to, but it's what I had in my mind that I had to do. And so I found myself spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars at Hobby Lobby instead of trusting in my own ability and what I have to offer people. And God wouldn't want me not to have peace. He wouldn't want me not to have rest. There was no reason I needed to be packing these special boxes all night. And when I looked at the fruits of the spirit, when I got done with this project on Saturday, first off, it's like, I just want to go have a beer. Like, there's no peace. Like, I'm not excited to go tell my husband how it went when he picked me up. It's like, can we just go have a beer? And it was one of those moments that it's like, this is what you've been telling everybody, Tammy. This is distinguishing your voice from the voices in your head because I wasn't feeling kind and I wasn't feeling gentle. Now, did a lot of wonderful things come out of the Women's Summit I was out? Absolutely. But what didn't happen is what I had been losing sleep over and what I had been working on. And the conversations that women ended up having with me were about what God had already given me the knowledge to share with people. He didn't need me to give them more stuff. And I realized if I would have paused and thought about going to bed and what these fruits were producing, I would have realized that I was listening to the voices in my head instead of what God was asking for me. And then, ironically, yesterday with one of my mastermind groups, I simplified a 90-minute activity down into 10 to try to be really powerful. And it was one of the activities I'd built this big kit for, and I was going to send home with them on Saturday. And in that 10 minutes, my mastermind group friends said, Tammy, this 10 minutes was so powerful. But yet the week before, I was spending 7, 8 hours packaging this program. That's not what God was asking me. That was Tammy listening to what we hear on, especially the American culture, that people have to have stuff. And so we often don't know. And in that song, The River, we just heard about we're going to have rough waters. We're trying to stay between the shores. But God does want us to pause and think about, wait a minute, am I receiving the fruits of the Spirit right now? And if not, how do I get out of my own head and back with Him? And it's in taking the pause. And so if you look at the Bible verses that I've been asking you to reflect on this next week, it's all about being still, being quiet, because He wants your full attention. Just like when somebody gives you their full attention and you're like, oh, they care about me. I do mean something. That's how God wants to be with you. He wants your full attention. And then He can help you stay between the shores. He can be the captain of your boat. So your sailing down the rapids can be more fun instead of so scary. So that is the reflection for this week. Our closing song is Unanswered Prayers. And I want you to listen past the story in it. I want you to listen past the guy meeting his flame from high school and really start thinking about your prayers and the unanswered ones. Are they really unanswered? Or are they a prayer that God's answered for your benefit for your future? So as always, I want to leave you with this. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of His hand. And again, after the song, you're all welcome to stay on for our 20-minute discussion.